Good afternoon, everybody. I'm News 13's Amy Hoyt. This is 13 Now. We are live in our News 13 newsroom on Harrison Avenue, so glad you could join us today. We have something fun to talk about this afternoon, something that is going to be entertaining and fun, and something you can do on Valentine's Day. I'm about to introduce you to someone that many of you will know and recognize, and maybe some of you won't because maybe you're new to the area, and you'll want to get to know him in the next 30 minutes. Let's introduce our guest today. He is Dennis Rader. If you remember the Ocean Opry from the 70s and the 80s and the 90s and beyond, he was the, probably want me to say you were the good-looking brother?
Yeah, definitely the younger one.
So good to have you with us, Dennis. It's been a while.
Great to be here. It has been a while. COVID kind of kept us from getting together the last couple of years, and I'm so glad to be back here at Channel 13 with you and doing my concert series again this year. And gosh, I think about, you mentioned Ocean Opry and our early start. I was married at 19 and moved here at 20 and built the Ocean Opry. So right after we the week after we celebrated our first anniversary, we opened the Ocean Opry opening night.
All right, tell us a little bit for somebody who may not know, or somebody who just wants to reminisce with us today. Tell us about the Ocean Opry. That was back in the 70s.
Back in, we started in August 5th of 1978 and went for 27 years. But Ocean Opry was, we modeled it exactly after the shows that were in Branson, Missouri at that time. So if you're familiar with names like the Presley family, the Ball Knobbers, those kinds of things, Shoji Tabuchi even, you know, that's what we modeled it after. And so you had to have some serious country music singing up front, and you had to have a hillbilly comedian, and we wanted to keep those things in family, so I was given that role. Not sure I wanted it at the beginning, and that's an odd thing to say this many years later. But because I just wanted to be a drummer. What did I know? You know?
When you're young, too, the whole family is singing and entertaining on stage, and you had to put on the costume. You had to be the funny guy, which,
That's
you know,
right.
It seems like it's easier, but it's probably harder. There's a lot of acting involved.
There were times, believe me, when the curtain opened and the way you were 2 minutes ago backstage was not funny.
Yeah.
You know, when you work with family,
There you are.
and when you work with funny, there's an old picture of me, But when you work with family and you're that close to one another, you're going to go through the difficulties and handle issues as they come up. The show must go on, though. So if an argument or a discussion or however you want to phrase that comes up 10 minutes before the show starts, guess what? You still got to start the show on time. The people are in the seats.
This is true. Back in the day, we're looking at the Ocean Opry there, some of the sign in the building. Yeah, and you brought in, you know, it was a first for Bay County. I mean, it was a big to-do that we had this entertainment venue on Panama City Beach, and, you know, the visitors got to enjoy it, but the locals were there as well for you. And you started to bring in some big names, which was, again, a first for the area.
Yeah, I was reminiscing because at my January show, I did a tribute to the Bellamy Brothers. Turns out they were actually the very first act we booked from Nashville.
I was there. I remember that.
It was in 78.
Nine? Or
It had to be 78 because we opened in August, and we got past
That's
Labor Day, and Dad says, "How am I going to pay this payroll, make payroll for this much?" And so we got on the phone, and so it was September or October they came down and Howard and David and Bellamy Brothers. And
they were great.
They were the very first, but yeah, it proceeded on through a lot of the Grand Ole Opry standards like your Charlie Walker, your Jeannie Seeley, Jack Green, Jimmy Dickens, you know, all those things. But then the Roy Clarks, the Mel Tillis, the Oak Ridge Boys, many times over and over again. And then Johnny Cash and June Carter and the Carter family, Skaggs, Ronnie Millsap, and George and Tammy. I mean, you know, the list just goes on and on. If you sit there, we'd be here too long.
There were some great shows.
Oh, yeah. And you learn something from every one of those experiences.
How was it raising a family now? You guys were young. You and your brother and your sister. You were younger. You said you were 19 when you came, 20?
Yep. Yeah, 21 we opened. Yeah.
Right. And so you're starting to have children and starting a family of your own, too.
Yeah.
So you're the celebrity, but now you got a family. So how do you work that together? Where was the balance?
Well, I'm a bit of a workaholic, so my balance was misplaced. I'm a wise enough man to admit that. But I did have still have, I mean, a wonderful wife.
Yes, you do.
Carla was
Hi, Carla.
understanding. Hi, baby. She'll get to watch this. She was understanding of what was going on because we had a recording studio. So we would take recording jobs, and I might be there throughout the day, break for supper, and go back and work on recording with something until 10 or 11 o'clock at night, and then back in again the next morning. At the same time, you got to deal with dropping kids off to school or another event that had to do with church or school, and you still had to be there. And we had 5 kids, you know. Yeah. So later on, when we had all 5 of them, she had the twins last of all, and boy, life got busy.
And you were a big part of the community. I mean, you raised your family here out on Panama City Beach, so you know all about the schools and about the churches and about the events because you were a part of it 100%.
Yeah, I'm privileged to remember the earlier years of, say, the Christmas tree lighting.
Yeah.
You know, rest in peace, old Tom Hips would guide us through that evening, and boy, he had some funny things he'd say.
Yes, he did.
And quick and witty. I just a little thing on him. I remember we're out there doing that whole deal one night, and he would try to introduce us back up for some more songs, and just off the cuff, he says, "Okay, the Raiders have been helping us here. We got the Rhea sisters coming up, Gonna and Dia. What are you girls going to do for us?" And I'm like, did he really say that in front of people? You know,
he was one of a kind. There's no doubt about it.
But yeah, you know, those are old facilities that have been replaced now, and it's a gorgeous setup, or however you want to call it, at Panama City Beach with the Visitor Center and TDC, and the way Frank Brown Park is now.
It's come a long way.
Yeah, it's really changed a lot, you know, and so is the entertainment. You know, around, you know, we tried to adjust and change along with it through the years.
But you led the way. I mean, your family led the way.
27 years was a long time, you know. So we're proud of that.
Let's talk a little bit about your mom and dad before we move on too far down the road here. Your dad, Wayne Rader.
Yep.
He's been gone. We talked 7 years now.
Yeah.
And your mom's still with us.
Yeah, Mom.
Almost her birthday.
She'll be 85 this week, this next week, and okay, a little something that's not on the posters or anything.
It was the picture before this.
Oh, we got a picture of her?
Yeah, well, of Dad first. We got to go in order.
That's me and my 2 oldest boys right there.
Who are all grown up now.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll talk about that in a minute.
The one on left. Yeah, I'll tell you about him in a little bit.
But your dad really, I mean, he got into the community. Oh, hello, there she is.
She's played a lot of rhythm guitar, and that's me when I was playing pedal steel back in the day.
How was it when your dad decided to shut the place down and everybody... Well, I mean, you were too young to retire in real life.
I learned what the word bittersweet really meant.
Yeah, yeah.
I was sitting. I was music minister at the time at Gulf Beach Baptist, and I was sitting at the quiet of the sanctuary, building the screen, what I would put on the screen for Sunday morning service at that time. And the phone rang, and there was nobody but me and Dad and the Lord, you might say. And he delivered the news to me, and it was like, do I smile or do I cry? Because it was something that we knew had reached its end. It was getting very hard to work with Nashville. They had gotten a tremendous level of greed where you couldn't book someone and still make, there's a picture, Dad, right there. Yeah, it was a beautiful hat. But it had reached a point where you couldn't make it work. They were in control of the numbers. And so without our wintertime opportunity to you know, promote shows,
and
it was getting hard to put people in the
winter
seats.
Tourism then wasn't as big as it is now. Like, we're almost year-round here, so it was a little different.
Let me say this:
you had enough snowbirds back then.
Well, way more.
Oh,
in our early
that's
years,
interesting.
In our early years, they were here by October 1, and they stayed till April. So for 6 months, we could do a major act every 2 weeks at the Opry. You know, booking someone in. So that season, then somewhere in the later 80s, things began to change. Their health insurance was no longer good for more than 30 days coming from Canada, because a lot of people back then were Canadian tourists for the wintertime. And so that hurt. There were just a number of things in that just all were the perfect storm.
So your legacy is established, and then you decide it's time to close down.
Let it go. Yeah.
And where does that take you then? Because your entire family and your kids now are grown up still remain in the music business.
Yeah, they do. They do. And I tried to stay in the music business 100%. Went and did some musical things with a band and a fellow that's a promoter here in town for about a year. And then a friend of mine, he got a paddle wheel boat and got it running, Rick Ackerman, the Betsy Ann.
Oh,
and,
yes.
And my wife and I did for 6 months 3 shows a week on his boat, and just had a blast. And then she decided after all these years she's tired of sitting in front of the mirror and getting ready, and said, so I did another 6 months with him, or a year just by myself, and then he began to grow and some things changed there, and I took on a one night a week at the Lady Anderson in the summertime, doing a comedy and country show for 4 years. So I just continued to stay in it and ran around the Southeast and sang in churches and presented a gospel version of my program. You know, so I was always versatile enough. I could do a 1950s rock and roll review, I could do all traditional country, or I could do a gospel, Southern gospel.
When did you move to Nashville?
We made that move in 2009. I believe I'm right about that. I'd have to get a calendar and look back at it.
Carla can text me.
But my kids had made their move there. Brent and Danny have been there, and they're all there now.
These are your sons, the two oldest?
But the 2 oldest, you saw the little Moonshine Juniors a minute ago there. They have been there for 18 years plus, working in the business. Brent's the oldest and has a full recording studio out in Mount Juliet. Works with a lot of the 90s artists like Frontmen, Tim Rushlow, Larry Stewart, Richie McDonald, those guys. But he did his years on the road with Billy Dean, Joe D. Messina, Colin Ray, and then Joe Nichols for 6 years. And has recorded all of them and a whole lot more. He's been off the road for 2 years now, full-time production, so that says a lot. And then Danny, he did his years on a little more of a rock and roll type country, right? He did the Jason Aldean.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he did Aldean for a few years. And when I say did, he was guitar player on stage with him. So Jason Aldean, Gretchen Wilson, Leanne Rhymes. Then he did 10 years with Keith Urban. And this may just be the announcement for Panama City. He now has a new road gig. Huh. Danny is now the guitar player in Kenny Chesney's band.
Wow.
So,
well, good for him.
Not a lateral move, to be honest with you. That's going up the ladder a little bit there. So it's a stadium tour, and that's all out there to look at already. So maybe you...
When Keith Urban came for a Gulf Coast Jam a few years ago, you know, I was fortunate enough that one year to be up top on the stage level. Yeah. And I stood, and they allowed Danny to come out first because this was his hometown.
Yeah.
And as he walked out, my husband and I were standing there, and I just lifted my hand and waved, and that smile, he recognized me.
He did.
I didn't think he would, you know, after all these years, and he was a kid when I was coming out to the Ocean Opry. Yeah. And so I was just, it just made my heart
and to get to do that at the ballpark he grew up playing Little League at, that was actually
but so very talented.
If anybody's got a video of his solo that night, he came out front and did a whole solo thing. My phone died. As he walked out, to do it, my phone died. I was there. So yeah, that was the real. But so that's what those kids, and he's won 3 ACM awards.
Right.
Studio player, played on almost 60 #1 hits. You know, so they all stay busy, and the other kids are all just wonderful and active, and love the Lord and stay after it.
All right, well let's
all that stuff. So yeah.
All right, so now we want to talk about you and what we're here for today.
Yeah.
You have always come back throughout the years and done shows in the winter.
Yes.
For the snowbirds and the locals who want to come out, of course.
Right.
Out on Panama City Beach, and you have one coming up this year that is like landing on Sweethearts Day.
Landing on Valentine's night at 6 p.m. That's right. Which is interesting because I've done this, like I say, like 12 years now as a solo artist in the wintertime here at the beach.
There you are.
I've never done a 6 p.m. There you go.
Telling a joke. But you know, telling jokes
Winnie,
isn't the only thing you do, is it?
In a minute.
You brought a song for us.
Yeah, I brought a little piece of music, and you can hear that too, whatever. I don't know.
Spencer, can you play that for us?
You got
All
something?
right, let's pause and let's listen.
Do it.
That'd be okay?
I got a fire engine red T-bird automobile. Are you talking about me? In a minute or less I could be filled to kill. I was 24 on and 24 off. When it get real hot, they just give Moon a call. I'm a fireman. Yeah, that's my name. They call me the fireman. That's my name. Making my rounds all over town, putting out old flame. Everybody like to have what I got. I can cool them down when they're smoking hot. I'm the fireman. That's my name. Yeah, they call me the fireman. Well, that's my name.
traditional country music right there, is it not?
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah.
But you do a lot of stuff. Like you can sing pretty much anything.
Yeah, oh, I do all kinds of things. I sure do. You remember you actually came to one of the shows one time.
Out at Arnold High School that
and
year.
I did a little dance moment that
right.
day. You remember that?
And the folks
3
got up to
songs?
dance with
Oh,
you.
it was
Yeah.
like Lawrence Welk show all over again. The Northern visitors, they loved it and enjoyed it. I'm thinking about doing that Monday night. So I've got a little set of songs in place already. I'm just saying, am I bold enough to say, hey, there's a dance floor off here to my right, your left. Come down here and use it,
Now, the Ocean Opry, obviously, the building was designed for something else, and that's not open anymore. So where do you perform?
Well, I'll be at the Todd Herendeen Theater. This is actually my 5th year, if I'm not mistaken, performing at his theater. So I simply rent it and put my show on there because it's a great location. And Todd's a great friend. When we talk about what we've done entertainment-wise in Panama City, we shouldn't ignore that at all. He's been here for 25 years.
Right. He's a great guy.
And has a great following and puts on a wonderful, clean atmosphere, a wonderful Christian fella. So, support him. But that's where I do my theater, my shows at, is at his theater. It's at 8010 Front Beach Road.
Right.
So 4 blocks west or east of the original Ocean Opry.
So when he's not there, you're there. At least this time of year anyway.
This time of year I try to do.
All right. Is the show an hour long or how long is that?
We'll start at 6 and you'll drive away by 8.
Okay. All right. So you're
I'll
getting
put
your
it like
money's
that,
worth.
Yeah. And then on the March 4 show on that Friday afternoon
Same
on
place?
March 4, same place, but it's 2 p.m. and you'll drive away by 4.
Okay.
And they just call me, I'm a one-man show, truly. I set up and tear down my own sound system. I do the show on stage. I sell the tickets. And when the door opens, I'll be standing there to greet you and hand you your tickets.
Sometimes your mom is there. Sometimes Miss Patsy is with you.
Yes, with it being her birthday, I've got her penciled in for something Monday night. So maybe you're someone who used to come and you'd like to see Mama Rader for a moment. You don't want to miss Monday night.
Oh, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
You also marry people, like not you marry people.
Oh, no,
you perform the ceremony,
and you know that firsthand. And you know
because
that firsthand.
you're married. Correct. My youngest daughter Laura and my son-in-law JC. You performed the ceremony, which was beautiful, and then you also had equipment to handle the music that night. So you
DJ receptions.
Right.
Yeah,
hers wasn't on the beach. Theirs wasn't on the beach, but that's mostly what you do.
Yeah, most of the time I'm walking out in the sand to do those. Yeah, and over the years I took my recording skills and turned them into camera skills. Let's call it that. Photography. And so my basic package is I'll take a couple and meet with them, marry them, and take a full photo package for them.
And you got some beautiful pictures on Panama City Beach.
That's right. Yeah. You can go to DennisWRader.com and see my website and look at that stuff. But so wedding business has been neat, and I can't tell you the people I've married who, when they were kids, they used to come to my show.
Yeah.
And now they grow up and they find someone they're in love with and they're ready to get married, and they look on the internet and they see that last name. And they contact me. And,
they remember.
And, so that's been real neat when those, I won't say a lot, but there's been several of those that happened that were just fun to do,
Let me ask you something. It's kind of on a personal note, but you always talk about it. Is your faith. Your faith's played a big role in your life.
Oh, absolutely.
And it would have to, I would imagine, in this industry.
Well, and not just in this industry, but yeah, if you're not grounded in something, and that's something needing to be, in my opinion, the Lord, then what are you grounded in? If you're not grounded in that, then what your roots are probably going to get washed away somewhere along the line. I accepted Christ and become a Christian as a 10-year-old kid. Lived that life, Sunday school, church, in a very traditional manner back in Kansas. Met my wife at church, Carla. We've been married 45 years in July, and the 5 kids, and we haven't talked about grandkids. But
oh, yeah. You got a few of those, don't you?
We got 4, and we got one due any day now.
Oh, that's nice.
I'm probably going to be down here when this one's born and miss it, but, it's another girl.
That's exciting.
My mom is going to have another girl.
Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Well, it is always fun to go down memory lane with you. You and I have known each other because I started as a DJ in a local country music station. And, of course, we used to come out, my best friend and I, Doris, who also worked at the radio station, and we would come out and just watch the shows. And then as our children got older, I remember bringing she was 16 at the time, my oldest daughter, and we brought her birthday party. I called your dad and I said, can I bring a bunch of teenage girls to the show? He's like, yeah, of course, we'll make it special. And it was so great. It was a good memory.
I wish I could remember what we did on that particular night.
Oh, I know. Well, it was a lot of singing.
There's a million memories out there. And everybody has different memories. I have people tell me of things that we did. Like you sat in my dad's lap dressed as Dolly Parton. I've heard that a few times. You know, we had people.
That wasn't me.
No. Amy, we had people who a grandmother left Alabama and came on her first trip ever out of the state, and did the show, and the lady went and died in the hotel room that night. You know, with a smile on her face and happy, and that was the way that the family reported it to us the next day. We've had people who someone came back in after the crowd had left. We've changed clothes and we're still down by the stage, and they walk in and say, listen, I wanted to come back in while nobody could hear us talking and tell you that when we got here tonight, we were in a pretty bad way. We thought we were going to get a divorce. But after seeing your family work together and hearing the things said and the performance, you know, we believe we can make it.
Wow.
So, you know,
You've
I think
inspired quite a few people.
God uses you when you don't know he's going to.
Right.
You know, so be on your best behavior. You know, remember who you are, who you represent at all times. You know.
Well, Dennis, it's always a pleasure to see you. We've known each other many years, and we wish you the best of luck. And we hope that folks will come out and see you on Valentine's Day.
One last time, can he put that poster up that has the date and time on it?
Okay, yeah, it'll be there. Well,
because my phone number's on there.
Well, that would be important, I guess, if you want to.
I mean, y'all need to
get in.
Y'all need to call my phone number for tickets to any of my shows.
Right.
And it's 850-814-8373.
Everything will be on the website.
So there you go. It's
this
on
plays
website.
back as a tape. So
I got you.
If you're watching it later tonight or tomorrow or the next day, that information will be there. Dennis, God bless you and great to see you.
I love you, Bay County.
Have a great show on Valentine's night. Thanks for watching, everybody.